Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. Mwah. Thank you so much for being here. Super happy to bring you another pick a card. So, we're going to just go ahead and get into the shout outs real quick. I do want to go ahead and give another shout out to Rhoda. I just received my deck that I'm going to use today. Thank you so much for being so kind, so generous. I really appreciate it. I am very thankful for you. Also, Joelle, Stacy, thank you so much for your very generous donations on my Cash App. I highly appreciate it so much. And I do want to go ahead and give everyone who has DM'd me, who has emailed me, a big thank you. I love your words. Thank you for bringing all your positive energy. Thank you for encouraging such growth, not only for me, but within other people as well. You know, we all need love. Okay, we all need love. And it's really beautiful to see us growing as a channel, that we're all bringing a lot of just we're bringing a lot of light. We're bringing a lot of our light. Yeah. So how are you guys feeling? Let me know. Don't forget to comment, share, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know my videos are uploaded. Also, if you guys would like to continue to donate, you can go ahead and check out all my information below. I have my Cash App, I have my PayPal, I have my Indie Deck wish list. I have all that good stuff down below. I also have a description of the kind of reader that I am, just so you guys can get just a little insight on what kind of reader I am. So I do have an Instagram, you guys. Please go ahead and check out my giveaway. It's amazing. It's a Reiki healing session with a one card pull, okay, to any question you might have, okay? I'm really looking forward to being of service to you. Okay, I think we all should experience healing at some point. It's amazing. It's really life-changing, actually. So I love that I'm able to offer this complimentary. Okay, so don't miss out. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome in. Deep gratitude. Thank you for joining me. I am a psychic medium. I do read tarot intuitively. I am a medium as well, so I do offer mediumship based readings. I have all that information below to book. Okay, so I do connect with people who have passed away. I do offer pet mediumship as well if you guys are interested. If you are waiting for a response, please give me time on that turnaround, you guys. You know, I have a lot going on. I'm getting ready for a move. I'm getting ready for life, my own personal stuff. You know, we're really moving through some changes here. So I always appreciate your kindness. I do appreciate your patience, okay? Honey gets a lot further than vinegar. You know, I don't know the right saying with that, but please be aware, you know, of the energy that you're bringing with you. If the energy is not right, you know, I don't, part of my boundary as a reader is to not only, I don't just accept whatever, you know, because I am very empathic, and you know, when I do read for people, I do it with my heart. So please don't rush the process. Please do not rush, you guys, because I really need to be in a good heart space for you. And I don't want to just give you a reading for the sake of a reading. You know, there are $4 readings out there, other readers like on Etsy, if you need something fast, but I really get into it, you know. So give me the space to really be there for you. I want to be a support system, but I do need the freedom. I need the freedom to do it. With that being said, if you have ordered a reading and you haven't heard from me, please check in. Give me a big, bold subject line, waiting for date or waiting for reading. Okay, things happen. So, yeah, again, yes, here we are. This is going to be inner child healing. I'm really excited to bring this for you guys. We're going to talk about family dynamics. We're really going to get into it. And I really, you know, if you guys have decks out there that are maybe a little more for inner child healing or something involving families, please let me know if you guys want to donate your decks. As long as they're new, you guys, I'm big on energy and it's nothing personal. But then I can really start using them for us a lot more. You can email me with a big subject line, tarot deck, or you can check out my list below. Okay? Great. So I'm going to go ahead and use a big rose quartz heart, and I'm going to point it towards you guys, giving you that good energy, them good vibes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and choose your deck. Okay, so we're going to have 3 piles. The first is the Margaret Peterson Tarot, the white box. The second is the Lioness Tarot. The third is the Angel Tarot. Okay, so take your time, think about your inner child, think about, just pick intuitively, okay? If you need more time, pause the video. We're going to jump right in. All right, pile 1. Pile 1, please stay for your channeled message. Okay, please stay for your channeled message. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with your inner child. So let's dive in, okay? Okay. Abandonment. Okay. So let's get a channeled message to see what exactly is going on. Let's talk about the dynamics here. So I am getting a lot of clouds. There's a lot of gray energy growing up. I am getting a lot of isolation or playing by yourself. Maybe this pile you had a lot of invisible friends. But you know, my whole theory around, having friends that are invisible or kind of talking to yourself when you're a child, I know that sounds really kind of silly, but it's actually not. It's definitely a way to cope. Okay, to cope with your stress, especially if you didn't have siblings, or especially if you had parents that were very absent and non-committal to being a parent. Okay, so there is an energy here of having a lot of time on your own. Okay, some of you guys are Scorpios, Cancer, Pisces. I am getting a lot of timidness around asking for what you need. Okay, what I am getting here, your inner child growing up, there's a lot of fuzziness. So maybe you didn't understand a lot of the changes that were happening. Maybe you didn't understand a lot of the things in your environment. Maybe there was a lot of confusion around the constant changes. You were definitely with that 8th house. You are a phoenix. You were born into an environment that was incredibly challenging in order to transform your lineage, in order to transform the pain, okay? So as a child, there was a lot of, I'm hearing turbulence, okay? So there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of isolation, sadness, yeah? But I do feel this was a lot of your internal processing. I feel externally there may have been a lot of kind of overlooking your needs. And again, we're not going to blame the parents, okay? When I work with my kids and I work with families, I always make sure parents feel comfortable, because there's always a feeling of guilt and shame around not being a good parent. Around not giving enough of your love, or not doing enough of something, or instantly whenever you're placed in a dynamic where it's like you're being challenged as a parent, it's natural to feel very defensive. And ultimately, I really believe that most of us are very good inherent, our inherent disposition is good. It's good. It's like a good soul. We aren't, I don't believe that we're born evil. We're not born angry. We are born with a lot of our karmic energies that we have to work through, but I do believe that our experiences really shape us. And for you guys had parents that were very busy, or they were just very detached from their role as a parent. And I'm getting like a lot of feet walking around you and not really seeing you, okay? And this was really intense for you. This was hard for you. But a lot of this, it's interesting because I am seeing so much power around your heart. Okay. So despite feeling really, abandoned or really at odds with yourself, this really created an enormous empathy within you, whether you know it or not. Um, and I feel like a lot of you guys may have, I'm hearing maybe there was a sense of turbulence and a lot of fire around you, so you had to learn how to survive, right? A lot of you guys maybe were very creative, maybe you still are. You have latent abilities to be very creative and artistic, and you maybe used music, you maybe used painting, you maybe used art, or even talking to spirits without even knowing, as a way to get through a lot of the things that you needed to get through. So I feel like with this in mind, and your inner child, pile one. Some of you guys are Aries, Leo, Sag. A lot of this ultimately growing up really taught you about self-sufficiency. It taught you about your independence. It taught you about your freedom of expression, your freedom to do things your own way. I'm getting a lot of resistance around authority. Maybe you guys never wanted to do the same thing that everyone else is doing. A lot of you guys followed the beat of your own drum. A lot of you guys wanted to do what you felt was right for you. So this created a lot of restriction around you, though, because I am getting people did not understand why you were so rebellious. I feel like your family, maybe even the people around you, your family, they questioned you. They never really validated you. There was a lot of feeling alienated. Maybe you felt alienated from your family. You felt like you didn't want to, be involved with them, or you wanted to detach from their identity. And this is such a loving experience because a lot of this really stems from your own evolution, your own growth. What you were saying is, I acknowledge that I was left behind, but I'm not going to let this create my identity, and I'm not going to let other people, trap me into what they want me to be. I'm not going to let people repress me. So maybe there's even a past life energy here around oppression and breaking free from these past life, these past life karmic energies. So I am getting a lot of you guys were very powerful at a very young age. Maybe you really believed in speaking up. You guys had a strong voice. And maybe you even went through a time that people didn't understand your rebellion. People didn't understand why you were talking back. People didn't understand why you were constantly doing things that your family felt was betraying the religion or betraying, the family legacy. But you yourself, you knew that you were doing this for a purpose, for your own evolution and humanity. You guys have a strong sense of empathy when it comes to other people and when it comes to humanity. You guys are humanitarian. You guys literally have created alchemy in your life. You understood that you setting aside, the need for validation was going to help you elevate. And although it was very painful for you, you were still able to do it. You successfully managed to create, your own identity. Even if you don't think this is true, this is absolutely something that you're moving through. So what does your inner child want to say to you right now? I'm going to try to raise my voice so you guys, it's a little bit, So what is your inner child? Let's see. We have the Two of Feathers. Tell me about your inner child, pile one. I am seeing a lot of hands grabbing you, so I feel like a lot of you guys were constantly pulled in different directions. You constantly felt at odds with yourself. You constantly felt like things were removed, and you always had to make up for the emptiness or the void. So this could have been this could have been an absent father, an absent mother, an absent situation, but you always had to end up creating a sense of stability and security within, and you always did it. You always mastered this. It's actually really beautiful, because when people assume that you weren't going to make it, I feel like you guys maybe had some teachers or people doubting your abilities in your environment at a very young age. Maybe one of your parents were really frustrated. You always knew how to rise above. You always knew how to elevate your spirit no matter what, no matter who said what. You always shocked people, because you have this incredible inner resilience within you that really elevated your spirit, and it's beautiful. It's like I'm hearing do it your own way attitude, like you stepped into your rise. You guys are leaders, by the way. You guys have people following you. If you don't know that, you have a very strong voice where people will follow you. They will follow, your direction, because you stand in your power and you really show people how to do it. Daughter of Feathers is like the Princess of Swords for me, and the Father of Feathers. So your inner child. There's a lot of air energy here, so you guys have a strong imagination. You guys have a strong creative energy. You guys are very strong when it comes to your purpose. There's this inner knowing. There's this inner powerful knowing that mentally you know where you're headed. Intuitively, you have a strong connection with the divine, maybe with God. You have a strong ability to connect in such a way that other people, may be surprised at how faithful you are to the Creator, to your journey, okay? So your inner child right now, there are some inner, wounds here surrounding your heart. A lot of you guys had to learn how to be tough. You had to learn how to be strong. And there's always such a thin line between strength and being jaded and closed off, because you go through enough in life and it really can shut you down. It's funny. My brother used to tell me that. He used to say, you got to be careful with your dating life, because you get hurt enough and you'll stop, you'll probably give up right on love, which isn't true, because I always feel there's always room to love people. There's always room to love if we allow it, okay? So this is about you your inner child feels blocked. There's maybe even a sacral energy here, feeling like you had to protect a lot of your emotions to get through. There's a lot of maybe even having to face two directions, having to make a decision between mother and father, having to make a decision between your yin yang, between masculine and feminine. So who am I going to be? Am I going to be someone in power and in control? Am I masculine? Or am I going to be in my feminine, where I'm passive and I feel vulnerable and threatened? It doesn't mean a negative energy. It just means that when we choose to be in one energy or the other, we're lacking the balance, right? So your inner child right now is really feeling like, I feel like you chose, or you're moving through being either overly protective of yourself or just not protective at all. So there is a need to bring some kind of balance within your dynamic here of your inner child, to bring in some softness wherever there is a lot of harshness, to forgive. Okay, I'm hearing forgive, especially forgive your father for not being around. I'm hearing there was a lot of toxicity around your father, maybe a lot of betrayal, or maybe a feeling of abandonment, feeling like you were left behind, having to make ends meet with the little bit that you had. For others, it was just emotional scarcity. For some of you, it could have been financial, So with the Daughter of Feathers, there's a lot of harsh communication, maybe even within, like your inner child really fights with a lot of these inner demons. This is more about your inside rather than your outside. But you guys may have a tendency to... there's a defensiveness around communication, or the way people communicate with you. It's like your inner child may feel easily triggered and offended by criticism or judgment. Maybe some Virgos out there. But either way, it's like you're still learning how to cut through. It's not stagnant. You're active. Underneath, we have the Aries card. You're really actively battling your own inner demons to improve your life. You want to see better for yourself. You want to do better. This is actually, whether you know it or not, it's a very subconscious knowing that you are trying to tackle these fears. You don't want to live in fear. You really want to express your highest truth, okay? With the Father of Feathers here as well. It's learning how to be in the moment, in the present. Your inner child is really in the state of black and white. Okay, some of you guys are heavily logical here. There's a lot of logic. There's not a lot of water. There's not a lot of dreaminess. There's a lot of, this is what happened to me. Maybe you've designed a storyline, a narrative that things can't change for you, even though they can. And your inner child is starting to paint a different picture. You want to paint a different picture. You know, I feel there's a lot of self-mastery from higher wisdom, this connection you have with God, whether you know it or not, you're faithing yourself to make it, even though you had to maybe cut through a few dead ends. Maybe you had to cut off some people in the family. Maybe you had to cut off some negative patterns. You're still doing it, okay? So you're still using your strength, even your weaknesses, as a way to get through life. And you know how to turn your weaknesses into strength, because you guys are thinkers. You guys are great analyzers. You guys are people who can lead. You are leaders because you really stand in your logic. Okay, so you can even talk to yourself and self-soothe when it comes to your inner child. You guys would probably benefit from a lot of talk therapy, okay? So you guys would probably really benefit from talking to yourself, from like self-soothing, you know? So one of the things that I've done in life when I'm really, you know, under a lot of stress and I feel like I can't get through the day is I will say, okay, let's do this hour by hour, okay? Let's do this hour by hour. So I tell myself, from this time to this time, I'm going to do this. I'm going to practice my breathing. And then I have 12 to 1. Let's just get through 12 to 1. That's only if I'm under a lot of stress. But you guys would benefit from a lot of talk therapy, of just telling yourself how to soothe, because energetically you guys have the ability to connect with your spirit in that way, with words, maybe even clairaudience, okay? So what was the issue within the family? And then we'll see how to heal it. Yeah, the feminine. Okay, maybe you had a mother that was a Leo, Sag, Aries, or a mother that was very, very powerful, very strong. Okay, what was the issue here? Could have been the feminine or masculine. Maybe this was a single parent in their masculine energy, making sure that you had everything you needed. But what was the issue within the family? Yeah, there was a lot of work. Maybe there was just a lot of absence. Okay, and one of the things I tell the parents when I work with my kids is it's not so much about the absence, because sometimes, you know, we're in situations where we're juggling. You know, we're juggling life. We're juggling a lot of stressful situations, and it's not easy to be a single parent, point blank. A lot of the time, the parents lose track of their own healing, their own self-care for the sake of the family. Sometimes parents detach completely and they're in drugs, right? They're involved in drugs or numbing because it becomes too much. Not saying that parenting leads to that, but maybe there was already a habit, okay? So there's a need here to really remember it's no one's fault, right? Blaming really creates a lot of negativity, and you can't create changes. You can't create changes in life with negativity, okay? There's already a defensiveness. Even I would, if I were a mother and I had issues or I had challenges in my life, feeling as if someone came at me with a lot of negativity or blame, that would stress me out and nothing would get done for my child, right? Because ultimately, I want you guys to have a different perspective on parenting, because I know there's a tendency to be like, well, my mom is a da-da-da, or my brother, and trust me, I've been there, I've cycled through it, right? there's a lot of, it's easier to point the finger because, especially with family, it can trigger. Family triggers a lot. Okay, no one can make me cry like my family in a heartbeat, and I'm really strong. So ultimately, changing the narrative, right? Change happens when everyone is willing to see a part in the narrative. Everyone has a role. And if you don't victimize yourself, and if you stand up for what you believe in, and you do it in such a compassionate way, with a loving way, things will move. So here I'm seeing a lot of the feminine, Mother of Flames, Two of Pentacles, Two of Cups. So juggling maybe relationships. Maybe you had a feminine energy, a mother here who had more than one child. Maybe you had siblings. I'm getting an energy here of cycles, going through cycles. Maybe, your parent dated a lot. Maybe there was a lot of choosing partners over you, or just absent. Feeling like, it's almost like I'm getting this strong feeling of like burdens, and feeling like your parent always chose to be with someone else instead of you, instead of nurturing you. Some of you guys may be middle children here, like the middle child. I'm just getting a lot of looking for your identity within the chaos is what I'm getting, okay? So this dynamic of having maybe a feminine energy that was very absent can definitely leave a sense of isolation, especially when it comes to your dating life, okay? It can create a lot of friction around having friendships. Maybe there's an energy here of responding to feminine energy a different way than you would with a masculine, depending on who you sided with. If you had a father here that was present, you're going to have a better relationship with men. If you had a mother that was present, you're going to have a better relationship with, women versus men, right? So how can you heal your inner child? I'm hearing recognizing your own power and recognizing the storyline. Like, instead of looking at it in a way as if you were a victim, where did you succeed? Where's your strength? Because there's so many strengths here. So how can you heal your inner child? I'm hearing blossom. Listen, you guys really need to tune into your creativity. You guys are artists. There's something really beautiful about your painting, whether this is traditional art, this is regular art, or it doesn't matter. There's something so beautiful here about the way you paint, the way you draw. Your self-expression is literally, it's fabulous. It's fantastic. And 10 of coins, this is about your ancestors. I have a funny story. I'm going on with this video, but listen, I remember I was having a really tough time with my brother, and I asked my ancestors with my ancestral tarot deck. I said, how can I bring more peace into my situation? How can I bring more balance? How can I bring more harmony? And I was thinking it was going to come out with something like the Ace of Swords. I was going to get something like go to war, fight back, standing. That's all my fire placements. I was under the impression of like, oh my God, my ancestors are really going to tell me to just grab the sword and defend myself. Listen, my ancestors, their answer, share your resources. Share your abundance. 10 of coins. The way you heal your inner child is to reparent yourself and create the legacy that you did not have with your gifts, with your strengths. Your weaknesses aren't weaknesses. There's room to grow. There's always room to grow. Mistakes were made to grow from. Okay? But a big part of it is acknowledging where we are in our own way. The 10 of Pentacles is about legacy. It's about your ancestors. This is about healing your ancestral lineage through making a difference. Do something different for your family. If you've been kind of fighting, or you've been alienating yourself, or you've been pushing away from them, or whatever it is that you're doing, this is about looking at the beauty of your permanence. You have a strong future ahead of you. You guys are very powerful. I'm also getting a lot of red energy here. I'm having a vision of red. So this is about root chakra, survival, your relationship with money, your relationship with your success, with fear, or not giving into fear. Okay. how to heal your inner child. I'm hearing surrendering the need to compare yourself. My spirit guide just said yes. Listen, don't compare. Your beauty is your beauty. Someone else's beauty is their beauty. We are all individually amazing. We all have gifts. You are not deficient. You are not deficient in these gifts. You have gifts. How to heal your inner child. You may have compared a lot because maybe there was a little bit of a split. Maybe there's some comparing in your family of like so-and-so doing better than you, or feeling as if, there was a lot of like just comparing in general. And you're being asked, to really look at how beautiful you really are. Okay? So here we have the Six of Wands. This is about your self-esteem, you guys. This is really about your self-esteem. And ultimately looking at where, you thrive. Where do you thrive? I even recommend like a list. Like, write down your strengths. Write down what you are good at. Write down what you know you're good at. And if you can't think of it, meditate on it. Because you have gifts here that involve a lot of, again, we have that 8th house energy, that Pluto energy. It involves mastering yourself. A lot of this is artistic. You guys are very artsy. There's a lot of you having to really look within for the answers. Don't look outside of you. This isn't a job for outer. This is a job for inner. You guys are going to be amazing counselors. You guys are definitely great in the social field, social work, psychology, anything that involves healing, art, anything that involves self-expression, especially with that air energy, is going to work for you. You heal through recognizing we cannot change people. We can only change ourselves, right? If there's room to love within ourselves, if we make space for compassion and understanding that not everyone is capable in the family to rise above, but you have, then you can make the changes in your family, okay? It takes a strong sense of will, and I know you guys got it in you. I believe in you. All right, let's do pile 2. All right, pile 2. Okay, let's go ahead and look at your dynamic here. Okay, trauma around physical abuse. Okay, so maybe you guys come from an environment where there was a lot of verbal abuse, physical. I should say there's a trigger warning, right? Trigger warning. We're talking about the real deal. So a lot of you guys, I am getting a lot of noise, okay? I'm getting a lot of noise, a lot of hecticness, a lot of talking over, having a lot of disagreements, arguing, yelling. So some of you guys may have had to deal with a divorce very early on, okay? And this was incredibly like traumatizing, but also, I have a positive spin to yelling, okay? When I think about how a mother and a father, okay, when you're in a relationship, you're going to end up getting upset, right? The fact that you guys can have such passion with each other to show that vulnerability isn't such a bad thing, but what becomes toxic is when a child is silenced, or when a child isn't given the explanation of why there's a lot of this verbal abuse happen, and not verbal abuse, but why there's an argument, right? It doesn't have to be verbal abuse, but let's say there's an argument and you're not explaining to your child why things just got heated. That is when things become traumatizing, okay, for children. That is when things become really, really stressful for a child, because we're making an assumption that they understand, or we're making an assumption that we can sweep it under the rug and they're not affected. This isn't true. It's really important to always talk to your children about why it just went down, that mother and father still love each other, that they just had a moment, and to find better ways to kind of express anger and to say sometimes, we're human. These things are going to happen. No one's perfect. No one's a saint, right? We're working through our healing process, but really having a moment to explain this. You guys did not have this. You guys had a lot of tempers flying, okay? You had a lot of pulling. I'm hearing pulling, like one parent taking you over the weekend, or there was a lot of manipulation behind the scenes, a lot of trying to, gain your favor over the other parent. There's just a lot of stuff, and that's okay. Take it as it resonates, you guys. If this isn't your story, there's another pile for sure. But I am getting a lot of growing. Either way, this was such a beautiful. This was a beautiful. I know it sounds crazy, but within this trauma, physical abuse, okay, you learned how to elevate yourself as a child. You guys are very earth signs. I'm getting a strong Capricorn energy here. Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. The ninth house is about abundance. It's about prosperity. It's about spiritual awakening. It's about higher learning. It's about your luck. It's about your expression of your future, right? It's like, for me, Jupiter has always been futuristic, even if it's not textbook, but it's beautiful. It's about your spiritual values, what you believe in, okay? So a lot of you guys may have been, again, there was a lot of maybe spending time at one parent's house, being pulled in another. What's going on with the family dynamic or growing up? Okay, relationships, yes. Maybe a divorce. Okay, when I always think of Libra, I always think about justice. I always think about balance. I always think about legalities. Okay, so there's definitely some kind of divorce here, or separation, a separation in assets. But either way, you guys really went through a whirlwind of events here. And through it all, there was a resiliency. There was such a strong resiliency to commit to being stable. You guys are very, very stable. You know how to create stability within the chaos. You guys know how to create stability within the chaos. And with this person of power here, it's almost like you may have also learned how to control your environment because of this. With the physical abuse, you may have had a parent that was physically abusive. You may have had situations where there was verbal, okay? But either way, there's an energy here on a positive level, learning how to overcome your challenges by being very internally disciplined. So you may have been drawn to even the military. You may have been drawn to ROTC in school. You may have been drawn to sports, to things that kept you very in a disciplined environment because you saw growing up that you needed to become very in control of everything, because if you were not in control, there was going to be a lack of security. So there's an energy here I'm getting with you guys, Sag, Leo, Aries as well, of needing to control your environment. So you guys may kind of have situations in life where you feel very possessive over people, possessive over, your environment, possessive over your lovers, needing structure. And this is beautiful. It doesn't have to be like, it's not a bad thing, right? Because everything is transformational. This doesn't have to be a negative quality. It's so beautiful because it shows you care. It shows the willingness to hold on to something you value. So my mom would always tell me growing up, like a story when I was a child, that she picked me up from daycare, right? And I just ask you guys, if you're going to quote me, please use my exact words, because when I talk about my personal life, I don't want a miscommunication or it to be misinterpreted. So if you're going to quote me on something, please make sure it's my words, because this is something that's a boundary for me. It's, I'm being very vulnerable about my life to share it with you, and I don't want my words to be misconstrued. So growing up, yeah, my mother would tell me these stories that she'd pick me up from daycare, and one day she ignored me, like, she went straight to another child to pick her up, and she told me that I had a fit. Okay? She told me that I threw the biggest fit in the room. She told me that I was kicking and screaming on the floor, okay? Because the first thing she did when she walked in the room was embrace another child and not me, okay? And that was my way of controlling the situation. I didn't know how else to express to her that her not being around really affected me. I didn't know as a child how to express that my isolation and not having her in my life was really painful, okay? It was really painful. As a child, all I knew how to do was react emotionally. I was a very emotionally explosive child, like, I wouldn't say angry, misunderstood, right? Very different. I was very different. My beliefs as a child were very different. My behavior, my attitude, it just didn't fit with my family dynamic. So I'm sharing this with you guys because, again, you guys learned how to cope, right? You learned how to cope with the response of one of your parents. I'm getting a very stern father here. Could have been father, could have been mother. But within your energy of maybe some kind of traumatic experience here, you learned how to create strong boundaries around your life. This is one thing. People will not push you. They will not push your boundaries because as a positive, you learned how to transform your pain into power. You learned easy. Okay, you learned how to transform yourself. You learned how to use, this anger. You learned how to use it to help you and humanity. Listen, you guys are very humanitarian as well. You're healers, but you have a strong sense of maybe even friendships, or people just love you. They love you because they love your strength, right? You guys have this beautiful energy, this beautiful aura about you. It's such a strong, like, I'm hearing people, it's like they need your life force because you have, overcome so much of your hardships, and you have mastered this strong sense of inner security that people envy. It's beautiful because you teach people how to be this way. Knowing or unknowingly, you guys have this emperor energy about you. You have taught people how to stand in their own power by just being in your presence. You guys may also be running your own business. You're really good at, creating your own environment. You're really good at creativity. You're really good at just designing your own life path, okay? You guys are really great at creating a life for yourself, okay? So within even the chaos, you just know. It's like you guys are strong. You might even be great at crisis hotlines. You're really good at, de-escalating situations. I'm really grateful that my kids never curse at me. I work with some really unstable, emotionally unstable children, or I would say youth. And I was really lucky that none of them ever really disrespected me. But again, a lot of it is energy, right? You guys really provide this. You guys provide enormous strength to your community, whether you know it or not. This is like an unsaid gift. You guys bring this beautiful, beautiful quality, okay? So let's talk about your inner child. Where's your inner child right now? Yep. Okay, some heart chakra pain, okay? There's a lot of heart chakra energy. A lot of you guys hide how vulnerable you are. You guys hide your emotions. There's a lot of you're really strong. You use your pain and you put it towards a new business. You use your pain and you put it towards something that'll bring value. Very Capricornish here. A lot of Capricorn energy. You're building empires with your pain. That's so familiar to me. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but I will say this, it's masochistic, right? It's like another trait, right? But how can you transform this into a heart-opening experience? Listen, you guys are great public speakers. If you shared your story with other people, people will listen. Not only will they listen, they will feel inspired by you because you are inspirational. You provide enormous amount of support to your community. So where's your inner child, pile 2? So a lot of you guys like to kind of, I don't want to say ignore, but there is a lot of energy of travel. Maybe you guys like to travel to, you know, understand your process of your pain a little bit more. You guys like to travel to get away. When you're feeling like you're in a lot of pain, you want to travel. You want to get away from it. You want to remove yourself from your emotions. And it's almost like, you know, what I love about this card, the devil being in reverse, is that there's an active pursuit of happiness. There's an active alchemic experience with everything you've been through. You guys have actively changed, maybe even some habits, addictions, something that, you know, maybe your parents couldn't do. You guys have actively explored and reflected, okay, a lot of your negativity into something more positive. Maybe there was a lot of drugs, alcohol in your family, and you have successfully detached from it. Your inner child is seeking to expand. Your inner child is seeking to learn more about yourself. Your inner child wants to explore a different way of doing things, okay? So let's see your family dynamic here. Yeah, there's a lot of verbal. There's a lot of verbal abuse here, okay? A lot over money. So there was, again, everything was about money. Everything was about who gets what, who gets a split, who gets the kid, who gets my money. You know, the dynamic really revolved around even maybe putting a lot of pressure on you to be something bigger than you already are. When you're already big, you're already something amazing. There's so much heart space for you. There's so much empathy, you guys. You guys have a lot of empathy. This is probably why you cover it up. It's a way to protect your heart, because your heart center is the biggest organ for you. It's the biggest chakra for you. So your family here, there's a lot of just harshness, a lot of high expectations for you as well. There's force. There's a lot of force. Wow. So yeah. There's secrets. You guys had to keep secrets. Okay. Again, this is more about intimidation, the strength card. For me, this is about secrets, about intimidating you through verbal attacks, or intimidating you through a lot of secrets, like don't tell people, don't do this, don't do that, don't make us look bad, don't da 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 da. But there was a lot of manipulation around money, and you guys are still thriving. That's the thing. You guys are still you're making it out of this despite all the negativity that, you know, you may have been surrounded by. You guys are really elevating your spirit to do something different. So let's look at how you can heal. I'm hearing confrontation of the past. The beauty in your past is the fact that you get to confront it from a different place, from a place of centeredness, from a place of knowing your own boundaries, which is big, okay? You know your own limitations, and you know your own strengths. Like, you're very clear about yourself, but it's when you tune into your heart, it's very challenging because the memories really come up for you. Now, I am hearing confronting the past. So taking whatever tools you need to become an architect of your future by removing the layers of resentment, okay, especially with the father. A lot of you guys like to do things alone. You guys are entrepreneurs in one way or another, whether it's latent or obvious. This is about building a community, okay? You can heal your child by letting people love you. Our perception of people is something I had to learn the hard way. I don't trust. I don't trust easily, but I do trust myself to love people. This is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to just be able to trust people, that they are not coming in with bad intentions. Have an open heart. You know, I was thinking to myself the other day, I was like, what would it be like if I assumed the best in everyone? What would it be like if I just assumed the best in everyone instead of assuming that everyone's out to get me? I grew up in the streets, you know, so like, and I don't mean like streets like I was homeless. I mean, I grew up in a very, very tough environment. There was a lot of violence around me. There was a lot of drug dealing around me. There was a lot of like, you have to be hyper vigilant, and you don't trust people unless they show you that you are worthy of trust. So growing up with a perspective like that, maybe you guys went through something similar, which is why I'm talking about it. Growing up in an environment that was very poverty conscious, very poor, but very rich, rich in emotion, rich in expression, rich in passion, rich in creativity. We may not have had a lot, but we had a lot of passion for our expression. You guys probably had the same. But how do you transform a lot of the traumatic experiences where you had to train yourself that maybe cops were bad? I always had a negative connotation of the police. I had a negative connotation of trusting people. Don't trust, don't trust. You know, there's a lot of survival stuff. And you guys are really moving through that. It's like your inner child needs to embrace love, you guys. Let people love you. How do you let people love you? By opening your heart. You become love when you are love. Partnerships. Explore. If you guys haven't been around people lately, start going to a meeting, go to a meetup, go do something with someone else, and enter it without a bias. Open your heart and just go for the experience. It doesn't have to be you making a friend forever, but just go for the experience and see what you do, see who you meet. Healing your inner child. Let go of fear. 8s are about karma. Yeah, 8s are about cycles. 8s are about regeneration, death and rebirth. It's up to you on how you're going to cycle through generational trauma or not. It's up to you if you're going to go through the same thing your parents went through. And I don't think you will, because that environment isn't something you want to invite your children in, okay? So how do you break free, right? By looking at the butterfly. How can you look at the best qualities in your life? I woke up this morning, and despite my challenges, despite my feelings that I've been going through, I still look at the beauty, and I still love my life, and I still hold faith that there's always going to be a transformation. There's always going to be something better. There's always going to be something, for me to look forward to. And being in the present is the best energy to be in. So transforming a lot of your mind. Don't trap yourself. Don't trap yourself in something that isn't happening. I feel there's a lot of shyness. You guys have a lot of shyness about other people talking about their success, or talking about, maybe there's a tendency to feel, maybe there's a tendency to feel like you have to compare a lot of your success to someone else's. You don't. You're already successful. Look at everything you've been through. You've mastered businesses, public success, whether you know it or not. You guys have this ability, okay? So it's about your narrative. Your independence is really important, you guys. Independence and keeping your heart open, and your creativity, being dynamic, being a force to reckon with compassion. One of the things I've learned to do is that not everything is personal. Everything people do in life, whether it's directly, indirectly, has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with individual experiences If someone's attacking me, someone's treating me poorly, it has nothing to do with my self-esteem, my self-worth, right? It has nothing to do with you. It's an expression of their pain. But if we look at it positively, we can really be compassionate for people's struggle. We can learn that, you know what, other people suffer just as much as we do. And the best way to feel love in your heart is to become it. You have to become it. This is a self-mastery for you. This is going to be a lesson that you guys are really mastering from within, okay? All right, my loves, I hope that helped. Let's move on to pile through 3. All right, pile 3. Inner child. Okay, you guys may have moved a lot, or there was a lot of movement here. There was a lot of moving. The awareness that we have a lot of Mercury here. Definitely a lot of movement, a lot of travel, a lot of... some of you guys never... This is about your identity. Some of you guys had parents that strongly wanted to link you with a specific identity, okay? And this is about addictions, codependencies, isolation, or just maybe even moving through a time where you guys have some strong ancestors and generational trauma to break through, okay? And it's beautiful because you get a chance to do this your own way. You guys are what I call the aliens in the family. You guys did everything your way. You did everything the way you wanted to do it. There was a lot of originality here. And a lot of you guys, I don't know, I'm having a vision of a helicopter here. So maybe there's a lot of travel. There's a lot of moving houses. There's an unstable environment, a lot of insecurity about maybe money, about where you stood in your identity. Maybe you had a lot of different friends too, if you want to look at it in the positive. You guys know how to blend. There's a lot of Gemini energy, Aquarian energy. You do not judge people. This is a positive energy about having your experiences, Gemini, strong Gemini here. There was a lot of communication about different ideas, maybe different religions, different expectations of you as a child. I'm getting a lot of you guys always felt like you had to ask for help, or you had to ask for validation. You had to ask if this was the way you were supposed to do it. Maybe there was a lot of, if you do this, I'm going to give you love. If you do that, I'm not going to give you love. So some of you guys had a parent that was a little bit on the... They just believed that the best way to parent you was through excessive positive and negative reinforcement. But the thing is, you can't negotiate love. Love isn't negotiated. Okay? Especially coming from a parent. Love isn't, you do this and then I'm going to love you, right? As a parent, this is something that can scar a child tremendously, because what you're teaching a child is that love is conditional. Love is never conditional. Love is abundant, especially from a parent. It is unconditional. You show, when you give people unconditional love, you show people that there's always room to forgive. It doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It just means there's always room to forgive. There's always room to communicate. There was a lack of communication here. I feel like some of you guys had a parent that was gone a lot, or they removed themselves, or there's a lot of codependency here. Maybe there was a lot of frustration. I'm hearing frustration around community, frustration around maybe, you had a lot of people in the household. Maybe there was more than one person. Maybe there was more than one mouth to feed. A lot of family needing your parents, a lot of family needing them to help. So there was a lot of distribution of energy, a lot of distribution of time. Some of you guys had little to no quality time with your parents or parent, because culturally, maybe this is a culture thing, there's a need to serve the whole family. There's a need, it's like you don't think about yourself, you think about the whole family. It's a kin, right? So your needs were always put on the back burner because you learned that asking for your needs, it was a bad thing, or that it was something that was frowned upon, because you're not supposed to because you're not supposed to ask for what you want or what you need, because family is first. But this also created a sense of silencing, like you felt like you had to silence yourself, and then you had to ask a lot of people for help, or you had to ask other people to, help you solve your problems, and it's not your fault. It's no one's fault. This is like you learning how to break out of maybe generational patterns, right? This is such generational here. So this is about resources, the second house. So again, there was a lot of communication about money. Maybe money was not just a family, an immediate family thing. You had to share it with grandma, with grandpa. You had to share with cousins, or there was an expectation for you to give your wealth, for them to give their wealth. So I'm hearing a lot of frustration around community, and energy of not being able to express your pain because there was a lot of, you need to be grateful. That's it, point blank, be grateful. And if you explain negativity in any form, it was frowned upon. So you guys are learning. This is very karmic for you. You and your family have a lot of past life karma to work through. And what I'm hearing is that this is ultimately about your ascension and your individuality. Instead of depending on your family's view or your family's validation, what is the South Node? You're learning how to become your own person. Listen, you guys were made to be very important in life. This is about Saturn. This is about 10th house, public responsibility. Your South Node in this most recent past life with your family, you guys did not get to succeed when it came to your family, when it came to your own personal success. In your North Node, your current incarnation, your current true node, your current soul mission, you guys have an opportunity to bring order and to be a person of power by expanding your truth, by becoming who you want to become, by not attaching yourself to the need to bow to what everyone perceives that you need to be. Communication is going to be big for you guys, okay? I do feel there's an energy here of just detaching the influence. Okay, there's a lot of influence, cultural influence, which is fine. Keep your culture alive. I'm big on that. Keep it. I still speak Spanish. I still try to do my cultural stuff, but, and I try not to, I do my best to decolonize you guys, but ultimately I have empathy for everyone, no matter what race. We're all struggling, man, and we would all do better in this world if we could just all come together and attack the system versus separating each other through race. I'm not going to go into this, but I know we have a lot of pain as a woman of color, as a woman who has experienced racism in my life. I'm more about how can we get it together, like as a collective? How can we love each other and forgive? Because if we keep going, we're really going to cycle through more pain. If we keep tabs, history repeats itself. I don't know. I keep hearing this. History is going to repeat itself. So how can we expand away from this? We can't change people. But what we can do is change our generational stuff. So if we did have racism in our family, how can it stop with us? How can we break out of those patterns? How can we break out of addiction? If there's alcoholism in our family, how can it stops when someone in the family says, I do not want to continue this. It's not about ignoring it. You guys aren't ignoring it. You guys are heavily in your mind. You're very creative people. Self-mastery. Tell me about your inner child. So a lot of you guys you're on your last cycle with your karma, okay, with your parents, okay, with your family. It doesn't have to just be your parents. You guys are really awakening the beauty of this transformation, no matter how painful. There's a lot of beauty here. There's a lot of, listen, you guys have a dream. There's something specific that you guys don't want. I feel like there's a shyness about maybe your artistic endeavors. Maybe there's some poets here. You guys have this beautiful, sensitive, empathic, artistic energy about you that's really beautiful, that's waiting to be seen, okay? Some of you guys want to be famous for something. Some of you guys have a lot of dreams. Your inner child is hopeful. And there's a big part of you that feels afraid to shine because you think, what is my family going to think? How is my family going to react to me turning my back on my religion, or turning my back on my cultural identity, or turning my back on kin, right? But if you allow yourself to write a new narrative where you can include your family through your experiences and bring them together, you can merge your identity, your family identity, with your new identity. You don't have to separate it, but don't let it trap you. Don't let it oppress. Your inner child is really striving right now. You're really hopeful about something beautiful. Some of you guys really want to be teachers. Some of you guys want to be, there's a desire to do something that's very, very, very artsy, or you want to travel, you want to be architects, you want to be archaeologists. You guys are very eccentric people, very different. You guys would be public speakers. You guys, listen, your inner child wants to be seen. The sun and the star. How beautiful is that? You want to be seen, but not just for yourself. You guys are humanitarian as well. You want to do this for people, to help people. You want to do this for others to really feel your passion in life so they can feel inspired. You guys would be great motivational speakers. You guys would be great public speakers. You guys would be great at showcasing your work. Whatever it is that you're doing, it could be art, it could be makeup, it could be fashion, it could be anything. But maybe this is something that isn't something that your family think is good enough, but you are mastering. Your inner child is ready. There's a lot of idealism. There's a lot of idealism around your creativity, and it's really beautiful. So let's go ahead and see. So how can you heal your inner child? What is this? How can you heal your inner child? I'm hearing travel. Travel. Get away from what you already know. Get away from everything that's already existing in your life. Get away from things that are holding you stagnant. Get away from just feeling stuck. You can, even if it's not travel like on the airplane, do something different every day to get your creativity going. If you change your routine, you'll start changing your life. For instance, meditating at 7 a.m. instead of 10 p.m. or whatever, even small little changes add up to big changes. So life experience in reverse. Choose a different narrative and transform yourself with the magician. Create a new narrative. Create a new story. Manifest a new environment. Manifest. Don't be afraid to get out in public. You guys really want to be seen for something. And there's this shyness your inner child feels around maybe being criticized or judged. But if you can break free, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. How can you heal your inner child? Strong intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, strong creative abilities, music, art, poetry, speaking. You guys really would benefit from speaking your truth. There's some stuff still in there, okay? So healing, how can you heal? Healing your inner child, pile 3. There's a shyness around speaking your truth, around bringing justice into your life. Maybe you guys don't like conflict because of your past, because of whatever you've been through, because of being so, dependent on one of your parents or dependent on family approval. You guys do not do well when it comes to conflict, okay? So this is saying bring justice into your life by moving away from the past, moving forward. Let your mind heal. Let yourself heal by really acknowledging that you're no longer there. You don't have to be there. You're not trapped. Okay? And stand up for your beliefs, you guys. Even if you want to start selling your posters, your art for $10, right? Like, even if you don't think you're that good, who else is thinking that? If you think you're good and you love what you do, that's all that matters. Listen, energy forms with you. It starts with you. Energy comes out of you. So if you don't feel good enough, people are going to feel like what you're putting out isn't good enough. If you already feel good about your work, even if it's, let's say, even if it's humble work, even if it's something that is very, it's like the root of a project and it's very small in the beginning, do you feel good about this? Yes, people are going to feel your passion. They're going to feel your heart space. If you feel negative about your work, people are going to feel that and you're going to repel. I want you guys to start a new project. Heal your inner child by starting a new project. Start something new. Start something where you can really access a new skill. This is about skill building. Make it fun. It doesn't have to be something crazy. Make time for it, okay? Just make time for it. Allow yourself to dream. Let go of secrecy. Let go of feeling like you have to be, let go of feeling like everything has to be a secret in life. Dream. So many options. And use your intuition. If you feel like you're hearing things or you're seeing synchronicities, trust. Okay? So how can you support your inner child? And we'll leave it at that. Create your own legacy. And bring your emotions into balance. Forgive your mother. I don't know why I heard that. Forgive your mother. Forgive the limitations that were imposed on you. Forgive people for limiting you, for dimming you. And create your own narrative. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.